Can y'all hear me? Hi. Can y'all hear me? Everybody in the back? I am Liz Copeland, and I am my recovery date is September 27th of 2004. I'm married to that beautiful man sitting right there, Al. And we have 5 daughters, and I have 9 grandchildren. 7 of them are boys, and 2 of them are girls. And I'm delighted and thrilled that they've never seen me drunk. It's been a struggle for me since I'm a young woman and a young girl, because I started drinking probably when I was 10 years old. And I remember that feeling of euphoria and how it made me feel like I could conquer the world. And at that point, my mother knew that I had a problem. She recognized that I was just not right. So, good little Catholic girl that I am, she sent me packing off to St. Clement of Rome to be with the Sister Concilio. And I think the priest at the time was Father Zimmerman, so I could go do some work at the church. And I did. I did that for a couple of years. I met Al when I was 14 years old, and I think at some point life became different for me. I went to church by myself every Sunday with a girlfriend of mine. I didn't go with my family, but the spiritual part of what I was doing, and the godly things that I was doing, just kind of was not important. It was about running the streets and ripping and running and doing whatever it is that we were doing, whether it was going to bars, going to movies, going out late, whatever we were doing. So, I'm sitting next to my sister-in-law, Bonnie, and her daughter, Christy, and my brother-in-law, Chris, who I've known them, obviously, for 46 years. Chris was 5 years old when I met him. Bonnie, how old were you? 12? Yeah, something like that.
Well, you're older.
Stop it.
So
we argue about this all the time, right? Yeah, right.
Subtract a year.
Okay. Anyway, so we did a lot of things together, and we didn't do a lot of things together because there were things that I did that they didn't do, or I didn't know if they were doing it or not. Anyway, but we were a close family, and at points I will tell you that my father-in-law made us, and I love that we did this, and it was great. We all went to church on Sunday as a family. Even with all of our children, we went to church on Sunday as a family because having that spiritual connection was very important to him. It was very important to my mother-in-law as well. In the process of the things that happened to me, as I had kids and, as I went on and had one child after the next, obviously, because they're all close in age, I didn't drink when I was pregnant, but we had this crazy lifestyle where I think I was out of town for 2 weeks out of the month, and I had businesses that I was running. I was responsible for, 3 restaurants or so and people, and it was just, to drink was a coping mechanism for me. It took away all the problems that I had. Actually, it made it worse. And, life got crazier, and I could not, everything that I did revolved around alcohol. And the more I drank, the better I felt. The more I drank, I did other outside issues, and, that took me to right. That took me to a whole new level, I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and it's just, at one point, Al got sick and tired of being sick and tired of me. And I will tell you, there was one point in my drinking days, and a lady that I'm with who reminded me of this, because I've been with this woman for over 20 years. God, how he plays a big part in my life, and I think that I am here because of him. I give all my glory to him. I know that when I had an issue that, and I'll just tell you, I was drinking and driving. I have a child who's in recovery, and she wanted to come tonight and speak. She's got about 7 years. She had an issue, and Al was taking her to the healing place in Baton Rouge, and I go, I'll meet you there. And I never made it there. I made it someplace else. I'm not proud to say, but it was jail. And at the time, you know, when he was trying to get my daughter help, I never got booked or anything, but you know, they held me. At the time, what happened is that the person who called me in was a priest. You know, it took me all these years to figure out that God was watching over me. You know, my mother gave me this card, and it was footprints in the sand, and she said, he's always got you, baby. You just got to look at the messages. You got to look to see the signs. And when I came into recovery, she gave me a card, don't quit. And it had Jesus on the outside of it. And I got all these little messages, and I had this aha moment, spiritual awakening. And, you know, I realized that, you know, I had an issue, but let me go back and tell you that it wasn't pretty, because Al wanted nothing to do with me. And my 5 daughters didn't want anything to do with me. And I'm sitting here drunk and can't get out of bed. And I'll tell y'all this. Chris was living with me at the time, and he told Al, he said, you know, she needs help, but don't go send her to a facility that I think he probably went to, right? Because she would be angry at you. And I think you need to just send her to an outpatient program. And this was a place that I think he had gone to. And I did that. And I think the first time I went into a meeting, they were with me. They supported me. Bonnie was there, Chris was there, my husband was there. You know, and every year when I celebrate my birthday, I always have my children with me. These are kids that didn't want nothing to do with me. And you know, when my daughter needed help, she came to me and she called me, and she lives in Lafayette. You know, she took off and lived her life, and it wasn't pretty. And I learned through the program, through the different programs that I go to, that I could not enable her. I was going to let her live her life. And one day she called me up and she said, Mom, I need help. You know, and I was the first person she called. And she goes, but I can't get into this place because they won't take me. And I said, give me 5 minutes. I made a phone call. I called a counselor that I knew at the place I was at. He called somebody in Lafayette, and they went and picked her up, and they brought her, and she checked herself into Victory. And of course she remained sober. She's sober 7 years. And, you know, I feel like, you know, the things that Chris is doing for the community on the West Bank and the community, city of New Orleans, Slidell area, because I know drugs are rampant in this area. And I'm just amazed that back in the day it was just alcohol, and maybe a couple of other little things here and there. It's gotten so bad, and people get Narcaned and they go right back out there. And they never can imagine that life could be as beautiful as it is today. And what he's providing, and he's gonna let him go on and say this, is something that I've been to places all over the world with family members that are in recovery. And you know, they don't have what he has today. What him and Dan have created for these people are unique and different. And this is why it's great that he put this facility here, because I know it's crazy in Slidell, you know. And I am just blessed to be able to come here and tell you guys that as a family member, you know, I was telling Deacon before I talked, is that my mother and father never drank. We never had alcohol in our house, you know. I took it from a friend. I took it from a bar, my neighbor. And that's how it started for me. But it wasn't until, you know, a year ago, so I'm 21 years clean, that my mom told me that, you know, my great-grandfather, because I started doing some history about my family, right? That my great-grandfather on my dad's side was an alcoholic. And, you know, it is an obsession of the mind and body. So when I speak, I always say, God, enter my heart, you know, enter my mind, and speak through my lips. So, you know, I'll introduce my sister-in-law, Bonnie. She's got the hot seat next. I love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank you, sister. I can't really do what she just did off the cuff. I'm just not good with that. I tend to trip up my words, so I wrote them down. So I'm Bonnie Copeland, and my sobriety date is 2/22 of 2020. There was something about the date. It may sound funny for people in recovery here, but there was something about that date. I wanted to keep that date. I love that date. So I looked up the number 2 and see what it represents. And it says it represents a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds, suggesting that divine guidance is reaching out to you. It reminds you to trust the process of life and have faith in a higher power. Isn't that incredible? And I just, that's just incredible to me. Just on a quick point, Deacon mentioned about, people, they're shameful and they're, they're like, oh, she's an alcoholic or he's a drug addict. But, it always amazes me that people talk about that. If you go to recovery, people, but if you crawl out of a bar room at 3 in the morning because you can't walk no more, that's okay. Nobody talks about you. I mean, what's going on with that? So I can tell you that I've tried to get sober now for at least 15 years, but I'm sure it's been a lot longer. I had let me just read it. I knew I had a big problem when I got to the point that I could not quit myself because the shakes were so bad that I couldn't even sleep through the night without getting up and getting a drink. It was the only way I could go back to sleep and know that I wasn't going to have a seizure that night because I had some vodka instead. And that's how I lived for a long time. What a miserable life that was. So with help from my family, I entered a 3-month live-in facility in Hattiesburg. And I had a stroke there. When I quit coming off of alcohol, I had a stroke. When I was coming, okay, but was that the last time that I ever drank? No, of course it wasn't. I had it, that's just freak thing, and I'm okay. Well, I wasn't, obviously. So I did what an alcoholic does, and I drank. So I stayed sober for a little while, about 4 months. Then my roommate that I had at that facility, she relapsed. And for some reason, that just crushed me, and I still don't know why. I don't fully understand it today, but that's when I picked up for the first time after 5 months of sobriety. I drank until one day, Liz, Chris, and Angel showed up at my door unexpectedly for an intervention. By that point, I was almost dead. My body was so swollen that I thought my face would explode. I was in really, really bad shape. So I went to a place in Lafayette that just happened to be the time I finally realized what I was doing to myself and my family who loved me so much. I was walking with one of my daughters who had come down to visit me. We were walking the beautiful grounds, just chatting. I can't remember exactly what she said to me, but it was something like, "So, Mom, how do we feel about this time? Do you think this time will be the last time?" And when she said that, it opened my eyes, and I looked around and I said, I'm 55 years old and I'm in rehab again for the fourth, fifth time, who knows how many times, I don't even remember. And it just snapped. And I realized I had grandkids, and I actually would like to meet my great grandchildren. And I looked at my life really hard at 50 something years old and in rehab, knowing that if I took just one sip, that I would be back again. And I didn't want that. I realized I didn't want my kids to bury me as a drunk alcoholic, and that I wanted to die when God called me to die. So I want to close with a quote from Pope John Paul II. And the quote is, "The future starts today, not tomorrow." This quote serves as a powerful reminder of the urgency and importance of living with purpose and intention in the present moment. It encourages us to take action, engage in the world, and seize the opportunities that God gives us each day to grow in faith and love. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story today. And I hope and pray that I've reached someone and that you reach out for help, because there's so many people that want you and want to teach you and want to love on you, especially the ones who aren't sober yet. There's people in the rooms of AA that just want to love you. They just want to love on you because they know you don't love yourself. So with that, I'll introduce my daughter, Christina.
Hi, my name's Christy. I have just 2 days ago made 19 months sober. My sobriety date is March 20th, 2024. Thank you.
What's family for, right?
Thank you. So I grew up around alcohol. As you can see, it runs in my family. So I grew up around it. I started drinking when I was a teenager. Got into some trouble, but it was normal. Like it was normalized. I always had the cool house to go to, like the party house. It was normal for me growing up, and at that time, obviously, I didn't think I had a problem. Looking back on it now, that's probably when my problem started. But I drank through my teenage years, and then when I got married in my early 20s, and my first husband was abusive, and during that marriage is when my alcoholism kind of took off, and when it was like an escape for me to escape the abuse that I was going through, like the mental and physical abuse I dealt with every day. So I drank to get through that. And then he ended up going to jail for what he did to me. And after that, I just I couldn't stop. I was drinking. I don't want to tell anybody else's story, but I had people drinking around me that it made it seem like it was normal and it was okay. And then I was a single parent. Like for my older two, I have 4 kids, and my older two, I would get them to bed and I would just drink alone at night, and I was miserable. I led a very miserable life, and I tried to hide it from a lot of people. I was very ashamed of it. I never wanted to admit that I had a problem. I thought I was hiding it, at least for a while. Fast forward a few years, I got remarried. My husband now is amazing. He has stayed with me through some times he probably should not have. He has supported me through, I've been to rehab 4 times. I went to NOLA Detox in 2021 for my first time, I think 2 weeks after our wedding, after we got married. And I went to rehab for a month when my 5-year-old was just a baby. And I went for other people. I wasn't ready yet. after all the stuff I had been through, I had not had enough pain. I just wasn't ready to stop. Why, I don't know. It took me, I would always get a couple months and then I would start again, start hiding it from everybody, start, quit drinking like when they were sleeping, or like as soon as he would go to work. I was a stay-at-home mom. I thought I was hiding it, and then I ended up going back through treatment 4 times, and towards the end it was bad. I was drinking and driving. I was doing like things that I am ashamed of now, like to look back with my kids, and I was not being a mom to them at all. Towards the end, I couldn't even be around my younger 2 kids by myself. Like, I was not a mom. I was not responsible. Probably couldn't be around my older ones, but they were old enough to, kind of take care of themselves. But my last time, I had been through enough. Like, it was my decision to go. I knew I was, I was ready. I had had enough pain. I didn't want to live like that. I wanted to kind of change the cycle for my kids, which I believe is possible. Like, I wanted them to see that I went through it and I stopped, and like to, just have that strength to do it. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. But they were a big push for me. Like, they deserved a better life. And it took me a long time to realize this with the abuse that I went through, but I deserved a better life. I deserved to be happy. But with my husband and my kids, and I had support. I have amazing support throughout my family. I'm the least amount of sobriety. So I had like great role models to look up to. I was done, and people had heard me say that I was done before. You hear the things, you hear them say, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And like, when I said it the first few times, I meant it. Like, I didn't want to do it again, but I drank again. I meant it when I said it, and then I would pick up again. But this last time, I knew in my heart, like, I wanted this. I was willing to do whatever it took. I like credit NOLA Detox and the place that Chris and Dan built that I now work for, like, so much, because it really saved my life. It saved my marriage. It saved my relationship with my children. My younger 2 were young enough that they'll never have to remember me that way. And my older 2 are old enough now to understand like kind of what I've been through, and I involve them. My daughter's here tonight. She's been to some AA meetings. I like involve her in it so she knows like, what to look out for. And, it runs in the family, and it's scary when you have kids. So I hope that if any of my kids ever have a problem, that they'll call me and they'll see that I've like overcame it. But I stayed at NOLA Detox this last time. It's a 28-day program, and I stayed there for 42 days. I went into a sober living house. Even though I had a husband and young kids, I stayed in Metairie for 4 months. I drove back and forth. I worked at a coffee shop just to do something. I was driving back and forth every day to make curfews and do 90 meetings in 90 days. I did everything that was told of me this time, because I knew that I could not go through this again. I couldn't put my family through this again. I couldn't put my husband through this again. Like, I knew that this last time was it for me. And he even asked me when I was getting out of treatment, he said, so what's different this time about like the last 3 times? And I told him, I said, I know that this time's different. Like, I know that I am done. And now I've been sober 19 months. I waited till I was almost a year sober. I called NOLA Detox. I'm an esthetician by trade, a makeup artist. And I started working over there, and I work in the front desk. I work at the IOP building. Now I'm here in Slidell, and I kind of do whatever's asked of me, but it's the most rewarding job I've ever had. Like, to be able to help someone that I was in, that I've walked in their shoes and I've been there, and just to share a little bit of my story with them every day is an amazing thing. Like, it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And just to watch them when they come in, and to know like, no one comes in there, in a great spot. You're at your lowest point. That song, Winning Streak. Nobody comes in there on a winning streak, like you're bad. And to watch them kind of come through, and like to see them just become like people again, and just start like their personalities coming out, and like just start seeing the stuff that they do over there, like the barbecues and the water slides and the stuff that to see these people have fun and not know that not think when you're in that addiction that you can ever go out and do anything fun. Like, that was a place I was thought at, like, how am I going to go to a wedding again and never have a drink? How am I going to do this and never have a drink? Like, those are the thoughts that went through my head. But to go through that and to have the bands come and the food truck and to just have actual fun without the alcohol involved was something that I didn't think was possible for me. So I know, like, when we do it now working there, like, I know that these people are just, like, enjoying their life, like, to the fullest at this time, you know? I think that's all I got. I'm sorry. And with that, this is my Uncle Chris.
Good job. I got one. Good job. My name's Chris Copeland. I'm in recovery. My sobriety date is May 23rd, 2011. So, but my original sobriety date was probably, I don't know, 2006, something like that. So it didn't happen right away for me in any means. So I wasn't ready, kind of like Christy just said. I just wasn't ready. So people said I needed to go to treatment, but I didn't think I needed to go. Or maybe I needed to go for this, but I couldn't stop drinking, right? I didn't need to stop drinking. I didn't go there for drinking. I had back surgery. I went there because I had pain pills, and I need to stop taking those. So, so I was the kind of guy who had to keep going back and doing more research, and everything they tell you, you go try it out, right? Like, bigger drink. Like, I'll have one drink, but I'll just make it a 64-ounce bowl, right? Or I'll drink wine and not hard liquor or beer and all that stuff. Doesn't matter. So it's, yeah, for me, I can't do it. So, the fact that NOLA Detox, and I'll get into that later, is around is a miracle, right? It's a miracle that I have anything to do with it, and that I'm still alive, right, to go through this, most of us, right? So it is a family disease, it runs in the family. Really, if a patient or a person comes into treatment, if they know their history, it's in their history, right? Sometimes it's from both sides of the family, right? Sometimes they don't know a lot of people in their family because they're deceased, because they didn't get this miracle, right, that we have. And I mean, my brief story, right? As a young boy, I was born in Houma. I'm the only kid in the family born in Houma. We lived there, but I'm the only one on my birth certificate. So we moved to New Orleans. I have no memories of really Houma, besides the birth certificate, right? So, but that's where we were living at the time. So, grew up in New Orleans, Metairie, Kenner, all those good places. But, I thought I had a blessed life, right? I mean, I did have a blessed life. I had, my first real memory is getting a dirt bike as a 2-year-old, right? My dad was kind of like a speed demon, adrenaline junkie, and that fits perfectly for guys like me. So
Training wheels.
Yeah, so it was a dirt bike at 2 years old. Imagine a 2-year-old kid with a dirt bike, right? And I really was scared of it. I thought, my cousin said, "You want to go ride your bike?" I was hoping it was the battery-powered bike. It was the dirt bike that I couldn't stand up on and hold. So I drove it straight into the tree, full throttle, and I got my first concussion at 2 years old. So that's like one of my first memories, right? Traumatic. And then my next memory, I think, is when I was 4. And that's when my mom and dad were divorced. Like, I really don't remember them together. And, we tend to remember these traumatic things that happen. And I didn't remember them splitting up. I just remember them always being apart, right? And I did not like that at all, right? I kept dreaming of days they would get back together. But in that time, you know, I got to live a split family, right? So I'm spending half the time at this house, half the time at that house. They're two totally different houses, right? One, my dad's going boat racing and opening up restaurants and different things like that. So I'm getting out of school on the weekend to go to Sarasota, Florida, and flying a helicopter to watching boat race. It's amazing, right? But it was a party too. I did notice that it was a party. So the older I got, everything we do, we drink. It's a party. We celebrate. If we're watching football, we celebrate. If we're barbecuing, we celebrate. Celebrate to me means we're drinking at least, right? Very least. So, I saw that and I thought that's what you did. And then after that, then I'd go to my mom's house and same thing, right? It was a weekend party, drink, weekend, My mom's case, there would be a Bloody Mary in the morning. Not a very calm lifestyle, but it was, it was drink. So, like all of this to drink in the morning, all that kind of stuff just made sense to me, right? And then, I didn't think it was a problem for me at all. I wasn't. But I wanted to, like, I'm sneaking booze on the trip, right? I'm taking a gallon water jug and putting bourbon in that I don't even like, right? Sealing it up, throwing it in my suitcase, hoping it doesn't spill. And just, teenager, right, at this point, and maybe a teenager. So maybe I was not even a teenager, but when I drank, I felt different. I did. I felt amazing. I felt like I could talk to girls. I was not shy. I could do all these things, and I was 6 foot tall and bulletproof. I loved it. I really did. I loved it. I need more of that. So, but it didn't work out for me, obviously. So, eventually, I remember as probably about to get out of high school or maybe sophomore, junior year, like being sick and saying like, God, this is going to kill me. I'm like, this is going to kill me. I saying it to myself as a young man, right? Like, this is going to be the death of me. Like, but it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me. So, continued on. I'd do things like work out. I'm getting in shape. And then we'd take shots and go watch the girls play volleyball at Ecole, right? Much the school. So we'd drink shots and get drunk after we worked out all day for hours, right? I knew when my friends stopped, most of them, I continued, right? The other one said, I can't go out tonight. And I said that in the beginning when I woke up, had to go to work or school. But about 5, 6 o'clock or whatever, I'm like, I can do it. I feel better now. So it was, a blessing and a curse, right? At that point in my life. But I did see some things I shouldn't have seen as a young man, as a kid. We all do, right? Probably all of us. And I thought it was just some bad choices. I couldn't comprehend that just maybe that was from the alcohol, right? Maybe that's from the drinking, because when we start the day, things aren't like this. But by the end of the day, it's like people crying, people getting hurt. It's just like it doesn't matter. It could be feelings, it could be relationships with people. But as a young boy, you kind of just witness all of that. And I said, I don't want to live that lifestyle, and I'm never going to get divorced, and I'm never going to go through anything. And I do them all, right? I end up doing them all, and I get to a point where when I was 25 is when I went to treatment for the first time. I'm 52 right now, so I went to treatment. I didn't want to go, but I went. Once I got there, I was like, oh, thank God, I just get all of this out. I didn't know how I was ever going to get out of it. Like I didn't have a clue, right? And so I was relieved, and like Christy said, I meant it. I've said, all right, I do want to quit this, but quit what I was doing, right? Not everything. So, treatment, I did it for a while, and then of course I relapsed and on whatever it was, and I just continued to fall until eventually, fast forward, a bunch of treatment centers, a bunch of relapses, and near-death experiences. So, and the last time in 2011, I went in and I was getting a divorce from my wife now at the time, and I was, my life was just a disaster, and I didn't really care if I lived or died at that point, really didn't. But I said, I don't want this to be the way my story ends. If I'm gonna, I don't know if I can do this. I really didn't. But I asked my higher power to help me, and I said, I'm gonna do whatever. I'm gonna surrender it. I'm gonna do. If they tell me to stay a year in a house with some guys, I'll do that. If they tell me that I gotta jog backwards for 2 miles every day, I'll do it. And kind of like what you said, Bonnie, is and I did it, and I got past some time. But you go to meetings and they say that desire will leave you, and your economic securities, will be free of all those, and all these things miracles will happen. And I was like, I never believed it. I never believed it. I'd read it, but I'm like, that's not for me. And today, all those things have happened for me. And it's amazing. I mean, it's absolutely a miracle to me. And it's just because I put one foot in front of the other. And some nights in the beginning, I told some people the way I was feeling, and I went to bed right before I got making some bad choices, right? And now it's almost 15 years. And like after my first year, maybe 2, it just clicks. Like I just go to work, I do things. I spend time with family and kids, and it's a normal day, and it's a blessing every day, and I'm happy, and I'm free of that. So listen, I could bore you with a bunch of grueling stories, right? That are really, it would frighten you to hear. So, but that probably is a lot of us that are in recovery. So I'm not unique in any way, but this will kill me if I don't do anything about it, if I don't take action, and if I don't surrender to the process, right? And it's so crazy because I've like willpower, fight, win, right? And it's surrender and win, right? Quit fighting and just start listening, and just start putting one foot in front of the other, right? If I don't drink or drug today, it's a good day, right? And then eventually these things that I never thought would happen for me happen. So, and the biggest things are like trust from others, right? It's not about a car or how much money I have in my wallet or things I might have. It's about trust, relationships, with God of my understanding, right? With family and kids, and because I did a lot of damage along the way, right? I was exactly the person I said I'd never be, and that really is tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. And but I mean, like, my kids were 11 when I got sober, so they don't really remember any of that, and that's a miracle for me. So they know, and they know who I am today, right? And they're proud of that, so that's a blessing. So I did all of that, and I got a lot of research on treatment centers. Like I was in Arizona, I was in Miami. I paid a lot of money for vitamins, and I got my colons cleansed a couple times in certain treatment centers. I got massages, but I knew what it was, right? I knew some of them were just there to make money. I knew some of them could care less about us, right? I knew some of them, it wasn't about whether I got sober or not. It was about, hey, if you need to come back, door's open, as long as the checkbook's open, right? So I never wanted. I said one day maybe I could have a place like that was different, right? And the fact that I'm alive to have that day, it was a miracle, right? And my sister-in-law Liz called me one day and said she knew I was looking to do a treatment center. Like I wanted to do something that was different. I was talking to some people and wasn't really going anywhere. And she said, "Will you talk to this?" I met a guy who said knows this other guy, Dan, and said, "Will you have coffee with him?" And I'm like, "Sure." So me and Dan didn't meet till 2020. Dan's here, my partner at NOLA Detox, right there. So he, so we had coffee, and like I didn't know him from Adam. People think we've been knowing each other since we were kids, but it's a miracle, right? It's a miracle that we were partners, which is very risky, right? To have partners, and it's just been a blessing. It really has. Things have just worked and doors have opened. We haven't had to, bulldoze through things, try to force it to work. It just happened. It's a miracle. Did we have a ton of challenges? Yes, but not like I thought we were going to have, right? Like we have licenses and insurances that we take and all those good things. So it took off. So Dan had been working in treatment centers he went to a place, an outpatient like Liz, similar, and he stayed working with them. So he had some of that experience, and I was surely good at going to treatment. And I was surely good at working in restaurants and hospitality and hotels and doing those kind of things, right? Running those kind of things. So why can't we have both, right? Treatment centers that I went to were 3 months long, inpatient, right? I didn't see a TV in 3 months. I didn't hear a song in 3 months. It was too quiet, right? And so we have TVs at NOLA Detox in the rooms now, because you can't have TVs, right? But why can't you? The same person that's not going to go to a group is not going to go to a group either way, right? We're going to have to go through that process with that person either way, right? And hopefully we can get them turned around. So there was a time where I was that person. But we give them, things like these stress balls that we have a bunch of stuff over here for you guys to take if you'd like. So this stress ball cookies. So why would I give them a cookie? It has NOLA Detox and the phone number to call for help. So every night we bake patients hot chocolate chip cookies and milk every night. So we do that and Angel gets a lot of credit for this, my wife. We were out of town and I said, they got hot cookies and milk we're in Vegas. We're in Las Vegas. And we don't drink or anything. So we ordered hot cookies and milk up one night. And we ordered them. It's like, that's what we ordered every night. She's like, gotta have them again. And that was our drugs and alcohol, right? So, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool to bake them hot cookies and milk every night and smell hot cookies and milk? Look, there's a lot of trauma. I feel like there's people that go through a lot of horrible things, and they're in treatment. If we can put a smile on their face, and we can bring back some childhood memories that are great, why not, right? So hot, fresh cookies and milk every night, if they'd like them. And, we do a lot of hospitality things, right? Like queen beds, king beds, right? There's never, the treatment center bed is most of the time, it's like a jail bed, right? It's really hard. Maybe some of y'all haven't had a jail bed, but they're not nice. So, but they're, we pillow top mattresses, but, the staff is kind and friendly. A lot of them are in recovery. A lot of them went to our treatment center and now they work for us, which is always the dream, right? We do things like doctors. We have contracts with Tulane and LSU. So we have medical doctors that treat our patients, not nurse practitioners or things. Nurse practitioners can help, but we want to be the best we can be, right? We have wristbands that we give our patients as rewards, like to mark where they're at in their treatment. So these wristbands say NOLA, Detox, and they have our phone number. I can't tell you how many of these I've given to people that say, my mom needs help. And I said, well, I give it to them. And I said, when she feels up to it, give her this, have her give us a call, right? And, it's amazing. The greatest gift is being up on the floor with the patients and talking to patients. We have outpatient services. We have inpatient services. We have doctors to keep their prescriptions going. So we can meet a patient anywhere they anywhere they are, right? Because they obviously need help. So if they think they need outpatient only, then we'll try it, right? If you can't stay sober, then we obviously need to go to a higher level. But we're not going to force them. We're going to treat them kindly and respectful. We try to show them in a really short time that you can have fun again, right? This is a great city, state that we live in. Food's amazing. Music's great, right? There's festivals. There's things going on every weekend. There's no reason. I used to think I couldn't do that kind of stuff. I'm going to turn that off. So we do things like bring in a band. We play music and we have a snowball stand. We have a water slide, and we have water guns and whatever it is, right? And they're having a blast, and none of them realize that. I don't think when I say, hey guys, there's 50 of us right now, and none of us are drinking and drugging. And I could see it hit them like, wow, I am having fun. I haven't had this much fun maybe ever, right? And we're not doing anything special, but it tells them you can do these things. Be cautious. Don't get yourself in a bad situation. But we try to show them that life is just beginning. Because for me, that's the story, right? I think for everybody at this table will tell you that. So the story is just beginning. So there is probably a million things we do at NOLA Detox that I can tell you. But what's that? Menus. Yeah, you want to talk food? We give our patients menus every night. So every day. So they look at a menu from Copeland's Kitchens, and if they want a salad, if they want with grilled chicken or shrimp, they can get it. If they want a shrimp po' boy with gumbo, they can get it. If they want a hamburger, hot dog, they can get it. But they control what they eat, right? It's not a cafeteria, and you have this or this. Meat, no meat, right? So they have some control while they're in treatment, right? I mean, when you go to a hospital and you're getting your knee replaced, or you have diabetes, and you have this, whatever it is, right? Cancer, like they don't treat you like you shouldn't be there, right? Or like follow my rules or get out, right? They don't do that. They treat you like a patient that needs care. We don't call our patients clients. Now we do things that would be client, like it would talk towards clients, right? We call them patients because if you don't get this treated, you will die. You will die. You might die 10 years from now, but you're going to die early if you can't stop this. And your soul's broken, you're crushed, and you don't care if you live or die. Like, I was there. And the fact that I'm not there today is a miracle, right? And it's just because I listened. I did what I had to do, no matter what the setting was. But we're going to make it even better. Like, that's why NOLA Detox exists, because we're going to make it a better experience for you. You're going to have a menu. You're going to get cookies and milk. You're going to get a great bed. You're going to get kind, friendly staff. We're going to do events for you. We're going to play basketball. We're going to, we're going to have games, and we're going to let you watch the Saints game and have a blast with it. Just drinking root beer and not Budweiser, right? So it's fun. It's fun. And that's why it takes people in recovery, right? It takes a group of people, a community. So we're happy to be in Slidell. We love it. We were supposed to be open in June, so, but here we are. I think this week we'll be open. So it's just the challenges of getting a place open, right? But I think it's going amazing in Algiers. We have our 48 beds in Algiers and New Orleans, 8-acre campus with walking trails, and we have the same thing in Slidell. So Slidell's a little smaller, 30 beds, but we have big beds, comfortable beds, comfortable pillows, small groups, intimate groups, individual sessions. We do outpatient doctor services, like anything the patient would need. So sometimes people go to treatment, right? And they get their treatment, and then they can't refill their prescriptions. So, and that is the reason they have to go on the street or something, because they don't know how to fill their prescriptions. We will give them all these tools if they want them. So, I guess that's it, guys. I mean, there's so much, but we have. Let me say that we have sober living too. Those brochures tell about everything we do. But we have how.
Where are you located?
We're located on the West Bank in New Orleans, and then on Lindbergh Street, 1444 Lindbergh in Slidell. It's right off the service road.
It's right by the DMV.
Yeah, where the mall is and everything.
From Harley.
Right by the DMV, she's saying. I own a lot. My goal is to move out here, by the way. So, and then we found the location out here, so now my wife's going to press me pretty hard about that lot. But
It's on the service road, right by the DMV, right between Fremont and Gauze Boulevard on the service road, like right at that bend right there. Is the
Harley
the-
Davidson shop.
Rehab is there. Yeah, I know it would.
It's right around the
Right by McDonald's.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was a dialysis and some sort of physical therapy rehab where people stayed on the side that we took over.
That's where your facility is?
Yes. That's where the facility is. That's where we'll do the outpatient treatment for now, too. We'll probably have to expand that. We look to get a couple of houses out here in Slidell for people, but we have sober living. We have sober living now. So we can take a patient and bring them to any location. If we can't help them and we're full here, we can transport them. Like we'll figure it out for them. So, and if they just need to talk, they can call us too. We'll talk, but anybody's welcome to come see it. We just did a ribbon cutting last week, the week before. So we get our license tomorrow. So Deacon Louis here has been amazing. Like he's introduced me to so many people. He's asked me to come. We did it. I think 6 months ago we did some food and for something similar to this. Yeah, community forum. But what I missed, Dan? Would you like to say anything, Dan?
No, grateful to be here.
Yeah.
And really, the Slidell community
That's right.
Fire chief, city councilman from the city and the parish were there. Great turnout. They brought the fire truck out. Thanks for seeing the fire truck out there. It just really felt awesome. And we've identified that there's, one of the reasons why we chose this community is because we looked at our data. We had so many calls from Slidell. And it was very strategic that we knew there was a need in this community. The nearest residential treatment center is 30 miles from here. So, that's why we're here. I'm very grateful for the warmth that we've received here.
Do you know that lady next to you?
This lady right here?
Yeah.
This right here is our charge nurse, our lead nurse. This is Lovey.
Hey, love.
Lovey was going to go to church tonight, but she said she'd come here and support us. So I talked her into coming in. Yeah. It counts. Yeah.
Any other questions y'all have for any of us?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you helped people who have creative addiction?
Yes. Yeah, it's a shame, right? Because, the drugs are getting worse and worse. Matter of fact, that Narcan, I was making some notes on my phone, but I decided not to look at it while I was talking. That Narcan that you were talking about is so important, right? Narcan will not hurt an individual. So if you see somebody you think they're overdosing, they're breathing shallow and slow, and they can barely hold themselves up, you can't hurt them by squirting this Narcan in their nose, but it will save their life. So, I don't even have kids in my house anymore. So they're older and they've moved out, but everybody should have Narcan. So I've been to big functions and that guy's not okay, and the place did not have Narcan anywhere. That day is when I started putting it in my car everywhere I go. So, because you never know who's going to come. It might be the UPS guy knocking on your door, right? So I recommend everybody, if you don't have it, take some. So it's important. It's not the solution, right? But the solution is treatment and follow up. But it will save their life, right? It will save their life.
You'll see it tomorrow to get a solution, work on the solution.
Yep.
We do treat kratom. That's unfortunate. Like you said, we have a lot of patients come in that just kratom, and I think we're one of the few facilities that do kratom. But it's like alcohol, buy it at a gas station. Not anymore, I don't think, but you could, and we have seen a rise in people that have the kratom addiction.
Yeah, and we've, there's so many new drugs that are out right now, and it's taken 3 bottles of Narcan to get them back. So we've had some people that have been in ICU on a Narcan drip for 3-4 days. It's amazing they made it out. So,
When you give them the Narcan, don't just give it to them. Wait to see what happens. Call 911. Give them the Narcan, and then if they give it to them again, by that time, 911 will arrive.
Correct. Because they'll come out of it and think, what's wrong? They won't remember any of it, right? It's like having a seizure, right? That I had. I'm like, what's wrong? You gotta go to the hospital. No, I'm fine. You don't remember yourself flopping around in there, because that was me or Bonnie trying to detox themselves, right? It just doesn't work. Right? It just doesn't work, and it's very dangerous, especially alcohol and things like Xanax and things like that. It's any detox is scary and dangerous. It shouldn't be done on their own.
Do you give them some other kind of drug or something to help them get through those?
We do. We have, like I said, we have doctors from Tulane, but we keep them as comfortable as possible. So that we do give them things that the nurses will tell you. We check their vitals. The vitals are getting elevated, going up, and we medicate them, and we keep checking them, stabilize them. If we can't stabilize them, then we'll send them to the emergency room. So, but we have it under control once they get there, typically. So we keep a close eye on them.
Yeah, they're under 24-hour. There's a nursing staff there 24 hours. So they're under 24-hour medical, detox. Even when you're not in detox, when you're just there, they have a nurse there 24 hours. So
I noticed when you introduced yourself, you said, I'm fresh, I'm in recovery, and here's my sobriety date. And then I realized, okay, maybe you all do that. And I really like that because that's not your identity as an addict or alcoholic. You're a person, a beloved child of God who has a disease. So I know Dick and Louie and I over the years have said it always bothered us a little bit. Someone saying, hi, I'm Janet, I'm an addict. Like, how much more that, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not in recovery actually, but I'm just saying the person who's saying that. So that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions? We got them here tonight, now's the time to ask.
You guys could have filled the stadium.
Yeah.
Really good.
It's really good. It's a family disease, right? It definitely is. It's a family disease. And it doesn't affect everybody. I don't know how it works. I mean, everybody probably has their own little things, but for me, now I can say it's a blessing, right? And man, I just wanted to drink normal. Like my poor dad wanted to cure this so bad. He's like, man, if I'm looking into getting that gene removed. Like this is 30 years ago, right? So it just, it doesn't work that way. There's no magical pill for it. But if there was, like, what would that look like, right? I had to do some work to get to where I'm at today, and I had to surrender, right? So it's amazing.
Why don't you mention a little bit?
How many beds do you have at your facility?
In Slidell, we have 30. In New Orleans, we have 48. So we have 78 total. And then we have the outpatient too. So, and if we're full, and we're full a lot, so the people, and unfortunately, people call and they need help. But, and I think they know that we're going to give them a different kind of experience. But we will, if we have to send them to some place to stabilize while we can't get to them, we'll pick them up after, right? There's places we can send them to just get them started detox. We don't want them waiting a long time if they're severe, right? Shaken and they need help. But we do our very best to get them in ASAP.
Do you only take people that can pay cash or have insurance? What about people that don't have insurance or don't have money?
Good question.
Yep. Well, we probably have given away more treatment than we billed. So yes, we work with them. We help them. We always have a solution for them. Like if their insurance, like I can't tell you, there's people don't even know their insurance is out too, and they're in there. And like we're not gonna say, hey, sorry, you got to go. Your insurance, it was been expired, right? And we're not gonna get that back. But we're gonna do what's right for the patient every time. That much I can promise you. So.
You don't see that nowhere else.
We do help them, like you said. There's tons of ways we do help them, like working there. I've helped a lot of people apply for Medicaid. We treat them while they're waiting. We can check in the system and see when their thing has come through, but we will treat them and help them get Medicaid, which most people, if they don't have even the money for it, they'll get, and that insurance they take. Like you said, we won't put you out. You're gonna stay and get treated while we're waiting on that.
That's impressive.
We'll always find a solution.
What would you say to somebody that they need rehab, but they just won't go?
That's a good question. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because
You can't make up.
we're not locking them in. We're not going to lock them in because it doesn't work, right? We will do everything we can to keep them from leaving, right? We will talk to them. We will call family members. We will, drag our feet, and because they sometimes it's just one more day and they flip and they're ready to commit to this, right? But if you're tying them with a string and dragging them in, it's really hard to make it work, right? It's just not. So, but like my story was, I didn't want to go, but I went, right? Once I got there, I realized I need this, right? And even if I had to go and do it 7 times, whatever it was, every time I learned something new, right? And I knew what it was gonna take for me to stay sober and get sober. And at last time, I was desperate enough to do it. Yes, yeah. I mean, look, just get them to a facility, whether it's ours or someone else's, and let's, if you can get them there and start the process, and if they leave a week later or a couple of days later, then you've already planted a seed at least. So,
I
but
got to be ready and willing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willing is
You.
everybody's different.
It is.
Really, I mean, like when I can tell you when I went to outpatient, the first day I went in, and I was made to go by my family. I signed up as a guest because I wasn't going as a patient. And the paper, I have it today. Like the guy gave it to me, he said, this is something you didn't want to do, because I did not want to do it. I was doing it for them, I wasn't doing it for myself. And when I had that aha moment that I needed to change my life because I was going to die, because part of my story is I did try to kill myself. You just, it's everybody's different, they have to be willing to want to do it. And you can't force them, like Chris just said, you can't force them to do it. And right, and helping them sometimes is enabling.
that's a great point.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is give them information, I mean, you can't force anybody. I mean, when they're ready, and they know it. But what you can do is keep giving them information that these places are out there. There's examples of people that, there's people that have your exact story, and so I would say keep giving them information. Don't give up on them. Give them information until they're ready to go to a facility or an outpatient program, whatever they need.
What determines inpatient from outpatient?
It's really, I mean, each case is different, but if someone's going to treatment for the first time, I would say, and they're not like medically needing it, they would probably want to start an outpatient. If they can't stay sober in outpatient, then inpatient, right? But if they've relapsed and been to treatment, it's, the most common thing they'll say is, what are they going to tell me that I don't know already? Well, there's something, because it's not working yet. So, and it works, right? So, but having that time away, that safe space is important. It really is. I mean, to think you're just going to one day flip a switch, right? Because you're going to a group and be around all the same setting, it's really, really tough. Right?
A lot of people have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I would say then they might want to try outpatient, because outpatient you go to 3 to 4 groups a week, you go home, you live your life. You go at NOLA Detox, they offer 3 different times a day, so you can go morning, middle of the day, evening, like groups to go around your schedule. You go 3 to 4 times a week, but the problem is stopping on your own. Like, you have the support, you have the help, but then you're home. You don't have anybody. Like, when you go inpatient, I would say it's definitely for someone who is more like, I'm going to use you just because you told a little bit of, but someone who had the shakes, and so you don't want to detox like that alone. It's dangerous. You need medical detox. You shouldn't be going home. And outpatient is not for it. I tried outpatient also before I went inpatient a few times, and I would go to groups, but it wasn't stopping me from drinking that night. It did plant a seed. I did pick up things along the way, but I would say outpatient is a place to try if you're working. But I also say this, and I tell people this in outpatient all the time, 28 days seems like such a long time, but it is such a small time in your big life. Like, to go and to get the help and to spend the time away from your family, away from work. I mean, my babies were babies when I left, and it was really hard, but it's such a small part of my journey that at the time seemed like so huge. How am I going to do that? But it's such a small part that now it's I would have never made it just an outpatient. I had to go somewhere, and I had to be away from it, and I had to learn the tools that I learned at NOLA Detox and the things that I learned and had to have the help that I had. But I would always recommend that they, and they'll evaluate them when you call our the number that's on here, the 44611, our admissions team, they'll kind of tell them what they recommend that they should start, how they should start. And Jordan, I
It's
think,
much easier inpatient than out,
Yes.
right? It is, because you're going to get medical care around the clock. You're going to be in a safe environment. So it's much. You're going to get chocolate chip cookies. You're going to get somebody to cook you good food and comfortable bed but if they have a job, right, they might not for long. Right? Because if they're like, you can only hold this on for so long, right? Or the job knows, and it's just struggles, But listen, you can always try it that way. Like, people have vacation, people have time, whatever it is, but your life is worth it, right? And the way they're having to live and go to work and the struggles that we've all felt that, right? It's miserable what they're going through. Right?
Anybody else?
Thank you, folks. All right.
Thank you.
When I went the week before, just kind of a walkthrough, they invited me to come look through, and it's like they're telling me the philosophy, like that you heard tonight, what they were going to do for the patients and how they were going to treat them like people. And it's like, okay, you didn't hear that a lot. Okay, we treat them real nice and all, but then knowing the success that they had, on the West Bank, and knowing that it's coming here. And as I'm walking through the halls, I'm looking at the different room numbers, and I'm looking at the king-size beds, big smart TVs in every room. And the thing it's a small thing, and it's the small things that make the difference. The thing that really hit me is that the room numbers. It was not room number 6. It's suite number 6. I'm in a suite. I stayed in a suite for 28 days, right? And so it's just the little things like that that makes you feel special, that you're our guest. Like the hospitality end of it. It's like, I believe God had you on a journey early on, and it's like, learning what you did learn, taking that and applying it to now, especially, your own recovery and seeing other people going through it, and showing them the way out of the darkness, out of the hole. You can't do that by reading a book. You live through it. And like I said, the degrees on the wall are great. And especially people with compassion with those degrees. But if you got the degree on the wall, and you got the compassion, and you're in recovery yourself, and you're doing it to give back, that makes a huge difference for the people that are inpatient or are going through treatment. Because to them, you got credibility. You understand. You got credibility because I believe you now, because you're like one of me. You're not looking down on me. We're looking eye to eye.
That's right. Amen. We love this state, right? And that my family is very much in it. Dan's dad and his family too. So it's amazing to be able to do this for people in Louisiana, and anywhere. Well, we get calls from everywhere, but especially in our home, right? Please take some of that stuff. But if you would like phone numbers, bracelets, pens, business cards.
We're gonna close with a prayer, but once again, if you like what you heard this evening and you want to know more about what we do, and you want to know when the meetings are, the speakers, I have my cards in the back. You can send me an email. I'll put you on my email list. And if there's a speaker or a topic that you want to come here or be part of, whatever, then you can come that particular night. We meet on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month. I have the little brochures and the cards as well. I got some Narcan. I got some fentanyl test strips as well. And I got some extra books back there. If y'all want to pick up a book, you're welcome to it. Let's go ahead and close with a prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good and gracious God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for the love and the pouring out of the generosity with everyone here that has come given of themselves. And Lord, so many times this quote unquote secret goes unknown, undiscovered, and we keep hiding. And we're hiding in the darkness. And we don't want to let our family secrets out. And what happens in the house stays in the house. And we don't air our dirty laundry. Those are things of the past. Lord, we ask you to empower us to be brave enough, to be courageous enough through the power of your Spirit, to come break through those bonds, to break through the darkness and come into your light. And let us know that you are our God and there is no other, and that you can get us through any difficulty in life. And we're never going to be alone. And Lord, you show up in the halls of NOLA Detox, and Lord is there where the patients are going to meet you. We thank you, we praise you, we bless you. We ask you to bless the people here tonight, the Copeland family and the Foreman family. We ask you to bless them in a very special way for giving up their time and their night and every day of their lives to help your children who struggle with addiction. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good job.
Come check this place out.
Yeah.